YouTube? I'm back with another episode of Attack on Titan, the final season, and it was a great episode. I think we needed that kind of episode, especially after the last few that we got, but it started with Armin talking to somebody about what they could have done better, because we just saw how, they attacked Marley and killed a lot of people, and then there was a 3-year flashback, basically a reverse, time skip, and we got to see how all of these things, this plan, develop. The first scene of the flashback was the Marleyan soldiers arriving on Paradis Island, and I think that happened 1 year after the scouts defeated Zeke, Bertold, and Reiner. But then, the scouts were already ready for Marleyans to come by, because it was, I think, the second or third ship that came to Paradis Island after that event, so the scouts were ready. Eren transformed into his Titan form and basically stopped, the Marleyan ship from, docking. So like I said earlier in the review, we kind of saw in this week's episode how the Eldians of Paradis started their plan to attack Marley with the help of Yelena when she betrayed, the Marleyan soldiers on the ship on the orders of Zeke, so Zeke was planning these things for a long time. He wants the Eldians to be liberated from, the Marleyans. So that was pretty cool to learn and see how that happened. We also saw how Yelena was excited to see Eren, so she probably knew that Eren was Zeke's brother. We saw how Yelena was giving information to the scouts about Marley, how many soldiers they got, how many divisions they got, and the kind of weapons that they use, so it was really interesting to see Anji react to, the pistols or the guns that the Marleyans use, or even, the planes that they use, in Marley, because they're more technologically advanced than the people in Paradis Island. So it was really cool to see Anji's reaction and seeing Levi's reaction, because he didn't want really to react to not show that they're, kind of weaker than the nations over the sea. At first, we really didn't know why Yelena and Onyankupan betrayed Marley, but the reason for that is because they're from Conquered Nation. Marley right now in the world is one of the most powerful countries in the world, I think. So that's the reason why they want to defeat Marley. It's because they're, probably the most powerful country in the world. So I thought it was a good explanation, and they're also part of the anti-Marleyans volunteers. Their goals is to free Eldians people. So it's not only to free themselves and their country, but to free the Eldians, which I thought was really cool to learn about them. Some of the other things that we learned is why Marley hasn't attacked Paradis Island, in these 3 years, and the reason for that is because the pure Titans that were used to, confine the Eldians into the wall makes it pretty hard for Marley to attack Paradis. And the other thing is that countries have, declared war on Marley because they lost the female Titan and the Colossal Titan. So they thought that Marley was weak right now, so they decided to, declare war and maybe defeat them, So I really liked all the information that we got in this week's episode, but especially that part on why, Marley hasn't attacked the Paradis Island. Now, one of my favorite scenes of the episode is when Sasha asked Onyankupan why he has dark skin, and I thought it was a really good question, because for the people inside of the walls, it's the first time that they've seen black people. It's the first time that they've seen people with different skin tone, so I really like that. And for us, it's the first season that we've seen black people too, so I thought it was a really good question, and I thought it was a good answer from Onyankupan. He basically said that God wanted people to be different, so I really like that scene a lot. I loved the new Sasha scenes that we got in this week's episode. Obviously she died in last week's episode, but the new things that we saw from her was awesome. Even the other things, with the other members of the scouts, that we've been together since season 1, like Connie, Jean, Mikasa, Armin, and Eren. It was great to see they were a little bit younger in that flashback, 3 years younger, but they were still older than the last time that we saw them in season 3, so it was great to see them, a little bit different than they are right now. And something that I thought was pretty interesting is how they want, the Malians and the people over the sea to see them as people, seeing each other as people, and that's something that I think is pretty important to learn, because it happens in our world. Some people don't see black people or Latino people as people. There's a lot of racism, and I think that they really attack that subject in Attack on Titan, especially in this season of Attack on Titan. We saw Sasha's funerals. It was pretty sad, obviously, because she's been with us since the first season of Attack on Titan. I think since the second episode or the third episode of the series, so it was still pretty hard, to kind of think about that she isn't with the other characters that we've been with anymore. It's pretty big, man. She was one of the main characters of the series, so it's still pretty sad that she's dead, and how she died too was really sad, man. But one of the things that I talked about earlier in this review is people seeing each other as people, and one of the characters that we were introduced to in this week's episode, his name was Nicolo, and he was a Marleyan. At first he really didn't wanted anything to do with the Eldians and Paradis, but then he learned to see them as people and to love them, because it seems like Nicolo actually loved Sasha for the person that she was. Obviously he was cooking for her a lot, and then he learned to love her, and see her as somebody, as people. So I really like that scene a lot, because there's a lot in this season of Attack on Titan. There's a lot of things that we can learn about, especially in our world, because there's a lot of racism, and there's a lot of racism in this show. So I really liked all these kind of scenes, in this episode, because I'm black. I've seen racism a lot, and I've really liked, the subject that we've seen in this season of Attack on Titan. There was also Sasha's family at her funerals. Obviously we saw her father and her mother, and I think there was also that kid that she saved, I think in season 2, so it was kind of cool to see them, but also it made me even sadder, so yeah, man, that part of the episode was really, really, really sad, because Sasha was a big part of this series, and now she's not, I guess, or maybe she'll be, I don't know how, maybe more flashback. But yeah, man, it was sad. Anyway, man, I know that y'all really like the scenes between Zeke and Levi, because we know what Zeke has done to the Scouts and Levi in the second and third season, and we know what Levi has done to Zeke in the third season in that beautiful animated fight, that we got. So there's a rivalry that has been built, in this show, and I really want to know how this rivalry will end. I don't know if Zeke will kill Levi or if Levi will kill Zeke, so it's gonna be beautiful to see how all of this ends. Gabby was still on some crazy shit in this week's episode. She looked crazy as hell. She was talking about and saying Eren Yeager's name. I understand why. I still don't agree with what she did and what she wants to do, but like I said, she reminds me a lot of a younger Eren Yeager, so I'm not gonna hate on her, but still, she's crazy as hell. But one of the things that we learned in this week's episode is Eren's reasoning on why he did what he did, and there was a discussion between Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. Armin and Mikasa was basically talking about maybe they can, reason with the rest of the world, and their hatred with, the people of Paradis Island, but, Eren was basically saying, no, we need to attack them, and so that they can protect themselves, so I really like that discussion between them, and we know why Eren is doing what he's doing, because he thinks that he can protect, the people of Paradis, and he thinks that the only way to win is to fight, and I kind of agree with him a little bit, because revolution hasn't happened without blood. We've seen the Asian Revolution, it happened with, fighting. The Algerian Revolution, the French Revolution, everything that has happened that has involved revolution has happened with, fighting, and some killing. So I understand what Eren is saying. Armin even said that he doesn't understand Eren anymore, so it's going to be interesting to see the conflict between Eren and the scouts because they obviously have different agendas. We saw how the scouts took Zeke, Yelena, and his subordinates hostage, even though they helped the Eldens of Paradis achieve victory against Marley, you know. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's really interesting to see this conflict inside of the walls. One of the things that was revealed at the end of the episode is that Armin was actually talking to Annie since the beginning of the episode, so that was a cool reveal. Obviously, she's still in that crystal that she created at the end of season 1 when she was captured by the scouts, so I'm wondering when she'll be out of that crystal, because now we know how they can get her out, or maybe take her female titan power, you know, with the power of the Jaw Titan. So that's going to be an interesting part of the story, because she hasn't been part of the story for a while. The last scene that we got was a scene with Eren, you know, and his new look. He looks pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie, you know, without his facial hair and with his man bun. And the last thing that he said is that the only way to win is to fight, you know. So obviously he wants to destroy his enemy, and the only way that he thinks he can have, you know, liberation and be free is to defeat his enemy. So it's gonna be interesting, man. The rest of the season, I think there's only maybe 7 episodes left to this season, so I can't wait, man. It's gonna be great, and it was a great episode still. But yeah, man, let me know what you thought about this week's episode in the comments down below, and let me know what you think is gonna happen next. I do Attack on Titan the final season reviews every Sunday, so subscribe for that. But I also do other anime related things like Black Clover reviews on Tuesdays, The Promised Neverland and Dr. Stone reviews on Thursdays, Jujutsu Kaisen reviews on Fridays, One Piece reviews on Saturdays, and Boruto Naruto Next Generation reviews on Sunday mornings usually. But I didn't do one this week. I'm gonna go back to it next week. So yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe. It would help my channel a lot, and follow me at Anime Specialist on Twitter and Instagram, man. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Anime Specialist out. Peace.